all just a dirty power trap set for nasty fame. Meghan shocked and humiliated by a media circus. Meghan Markle's decision to sue a UK tabloid left palace staff aghast at what they saw as a colossal mistake. Yes, as you've likely heard by now, several outlets are claiming that Meghan is more hated than ever in the UK these days. Of course, those reports are mostly coming from people who've made careers out of bashing Meghan. Meghan is pulling focus in the last images of the couple taken by Meghan Harriman at the One Young World Summit. She said that Prince Harry appears to be taking a sidekick stance in the images. She's sending a message to the royal family that she's calling the shots in her marriage to Prince Harry. She's trying to create a rival royal household, while the actual royal family simply never even saw her as a threat, and have practically written her off as a loss and moved on with their duties. She needs to stop thinking like an insecure prom queen and stop obsessing about being seen as a real princess. Meghan Markle just released a new episode of her podcast Archetypes this week. The Duchess of Sussex spoke with Lisa Ling and Margaret Cho regarding the stereotypes that surround Asian American women. According to royal expert Neil Sean, Meghan Markle is working closely with the producers of Archetypes to ensure that none of the upcoming episodes lined up have any negative or derogatory statements that might be offensive to the royals. After all, Queen Elizabeth has just passed away. Sean also claimed that the public could look at this move in two different ways. You could look at this in two ways really. Is Meghan changing her tune to now try and refit back into the family that she left behind? Or indeed, is she having second thoughts because she doesn't want to create any more trouble, he said. But during this week's episode, some listeners were convinced that Markle took another veiled swipe at the royal family. After all, she stressed that there's nothing more important than being yourself. Impossibly, they seem to have been woefully unprepared for the death of Harry's 96-year-old granny who died of old age, and are now panicked about saying too much before His Royal Majesty Chucky Trips decides whether or not to give their American kids the titles of Prince and Princess. Unfortunately, turns out the revolution was a flop. The book, by experienced royal correspondent Valentine Lowe, suggested Meghan was determined to go ahead and would ask, "Why is nobody listening to me?" Everyone else was equally determined to talk her out of it, Lowe wrote. Then, when the couple spent time that summer with Elton John and David Furnish, the solution presented itself to them: get another lawyer. Shillings, a firm Elton had used before, had a reputation for being the most aggressive libel firm in Britain, as well as for charging eye-watering fees. Meghan dumped Harbottle and Lewis and was introduced to Shillings by Elton. She was on her way to court. The book reads, a palace source told the BBC of household fears that the Sussexes were in a fragile place, with Prince William hoping they were all right. The day after the documentary aired, William WhatsApped his brother to ask if he could come and see him, Lowe wrote. This put Harry and Meghan into a spin. What should they do? Initially, Harry was in favour. Then he spoke to his brother again and asked him who he could tell. William explained that he would have to clear his schedule, which would mean telling his private secretary. At that point, Harry said, "Don't come." He was so concerned that William's team would leak the visit to the press that he would rather not see his brother than risk it getting into the papers. To everyone who knew what was going on, this was heartbreaking.